Hey everybody, what's up? I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from blackkeystogreatness.com. That's actually a motivational program that I have that is not just built on motivation, but it's also built on life strategies to be successful, to manage your time, to make good choices, to put yourself where you want to be. And the reason I created the program is because I had a lot of people that would ask me questions about life, especially young people, but also a lot of older people as well. And I guess to the extent that they consider me to be a somewhat successful person, I was very actually eager to to teach a class specifically focused on positioning yourself so that you can be successful. A lot of times we don't get what we want out of life, not because we didn't try, not because we don't believe in it, but because we positioned ourselves for failure before the game even began. It's very difficult to ride a horse 1,000 miles if you start off with a horse with broken legs, or you don't have a map to tell you which way to go. And here's something I wanted to kind of talk to you about for a second. The first book that I ever wrote was actually called Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About College. And I wrote it because I wanted young college students to be fully aware of what it takes from a professor's perspective, what it takes to do well in college. I figured that out when I was in college. I figured out the formula. I had never made good grades in high school. My grades in high school were terrible. I wasn't college material, but I figured out that by thinking about college in a certain way and managing my time in a specific way, I was able to actually blow the roof off of everything. College is one of those things where it's either really easy or really difficult, depending on how well prepared you are. And there's nothing to be afraid of if you know people like me through the internet who can tell you everything. I've been a college professor I was a college professor at Syracuse and Ohio State, Indiana University, University of Kentucky, University of Rochester, etc. And so I figured out certain simple ideas that students could use that could help them do what they want to do. So never think that, never use the excuse that, oh, well, I'm a first generation student. I didn't know. Nobody told me. No. I'm here. I'm right here. I'm just as far away as your YouTube channel or whatever, and you can sign up for one of my classes, and I can tell you everything that I know. So let's not get into feeling sorry for ourselves. It doesn't work. Now, here's what I wanted to throw out there. And I brought up the book because I feel like this is something I have to explain very carefully so people don't get it misconstrued. I started questioning college about 7 or 8 years ago when I started seeing how the cost of tuition has skyrocketed and the student loan debt crisis has become one of the worst crises in America. Right now, student loan debt every year goes up. These universities are just milking the hell out of all these government subsidies that have come into play, where they're piling up all this loan debt and they're allowing themselves to increase their tuition because universities as a whole are kind of what they call an inelastic commodity. They're a commodity that people feel like they have to have, so people will pay whatever it costs, to go to Yale or to go to, whatever their favorite university is, and they're taking advantage of that. And the government should step in, but our government's not effective. It's not going to fix anything. So what's happening now is that the millennials under the age of 35 are actually the first generation in American history to actually be expected to die in debt. You're not expected to. The average millennial, if they just do what everybody else does, the average millennial will die in debt. They'll never get into the black. They'll always be in the red. And so there are ways around this, but you got to be thoughtful. You got to be creative. You got to think outside the system. The system's not going to guide you to economic success. The system's designed to guide you to economic servitude and chaos and struggle. So here's something that I thought about today. It hit me this morning. I'm actually here out in LA. We're shooting films and stuff like that. And I went to Tariq Nasheed's Plantation Awards last night, which was really hilarious. And here's the interesting thing. A lot of people go to college and they really are deluded into thinking they got an education. They go to college and they come out and they say, I've got a piece of paper and I spent a lot of time and a lot of money. I was on campus for 4 years. I have a piece of paper and I have the student loans to prove it. So I am therefore an educated person. And I think that that's a very simple, I would say primitive, but I don't want to be disrespectful, but it's a very kind of narrow perspective on what it means to be educated. To give you an example, I know guys who've gone to prison 20 years who did nothing but read books the whole time. When I talk to them, I feel like I'm talking to another professor because they know so much stuff, right? If you're not learning, if you're not studying, then you're not growing. If you're not putting in the time, then you're not actually being educated. You just think that because you're on a campus, you're actually learning something. And so, here's what I've seen when I try to hire a lot of college graduates. I've seen horrifically bad writing skill. I'm talking about can't put together a sentence if their life depended on it. And I'm sitting there thinking, how are you gonna build a business and survive in a corporate environment when you're scared to write a sentence? Reading levels not very high. Math. I asked a college graduate not too long ago, a guy who was about to finish college. I said, so what's 40 times 100? And he said 9,000. And that's not the first college senior I've spoken with in the last 6 months who has given me an equally insane answer for a very simple question. I'm like, even dope boys on the corner can tell you, if it's 40 a key and you got 100 keys, you're gonna have 4,000 or whatever, right? I don't know how much I don't know how much a key costs. So you see, I'm not a dope boy, but you get the point. And so, and why do the dope boys know math better than the college graduate? Well, the dope boys spend time doing the math. The college graduate thinks that because he's at a university, he's automatically learning. You don't learn on autopilot. You don't. So I'm going to give you a little tip right here to know if you're learning or if you're not learning. If you're not spending at least 2 or 3 hours a day reading, writing, or doing math, or all three, then you're not learning anything. So when your child goes off to college and they're not spending a couple hours a day studying and learning, then they're not growing. And what a lot of college students do is they'll go through these classes and they'll study right before the test. They don't do anything. They'll go a whole week without even opening a book, which is crazy. I had a friend in college. I remember I helped this idiot. I helped him buy his damn books, and then he brags to me that he got a C+ in one of his classes and didn't even take the plastic off the book. I'm like, what kind of idiot are you? Give me my damn money back, you stupid idiot. So that's kind of what I saw. That's what I still see, on college campuses. As a professor, I would see students not studying. They spend time doing everything except studying. They know the step shows are pristine because they spend all the time studying how to put on the best step show ever. Or they're into their social life and into all this other stuff, and they're not studying. So they come out and they have this piece of paper in their hand and they say, I've been on campus 4 years, and they got all these student loans, and you say, what's 40 times 100? And they say 12,000. So understand that going to school is not the same as getting educated. Going to school just, to some extent for millions of people, college has become the $80,000 illusion. The illusion of intelligence, the illusion that you've been educated. So don't buy into the illusion. You need to make it real and stop waiting for that white man to stamp you on the forehead and tell you that you're smart. Because a lot of times what we think is an education is actually an indoctrination, number one. Number two, you may not have actually learned anything. So that's it. I'm not being critical. If you don't know what 40 times 100 is, that's okay. But you can learn what 40 times 100 is. You can learn how to put together a sentence and what an adjective versus a verb is and how sentence structure is supposed to look. These things matter. When you raise your kids, don't let them think that these things don't matter. You cannot compete in a competitive society when you don't think education matters. And stop believing that you need money to be educated. There's enough education on the internet to last for 100 lifetimes. Period. No excuses other than what you're doing to yourself. Between the time that you're born to the time that you're 18, I don't know how many, you have about 100 and something thousand waking hours, over 100,000 waking hours of life between the age of 0 and 18 as a kid. So my question is, if that kid has spent over 100,000 hours of life on this planet, how is it that child can get to 18? They can know how to hit the quan, they can know how to do the Dougie, whatever the dances are, or the Nene. I guess the Dougie was a few years ago. They know how to recite every song they hear on the radio, but they cannot put together a motherfucking sentence. That's crazy to me. Excuse my French. I didn't mean to cuss. It just bothers me. It really bothers me, and it should bother you too. I'm about to get out of here. By the way, if you're interested, we are on tour right now. You can check out the cities we're going to by visiting the drboycewatkins.tour.com. Next cities are Kansas City on the 22nd, Baltimore on the 28th, Philly on the 5th, Houston on the 15th. We're going back to Houston. I'm going to do something totally different. So if you're at the first Houston event, this is not redundant. This is a very different event. In New Orleans on the 19th, and then New York City toward the end of May. The last thing I want to tell you is that if you want to be part of our mentorship program, a lot of people have reached out and asked me to be a mentor, and I can't mentor people individually. It's just very difficult. I get 1,000 emails a day, but I created this mentorship program for anybody that wants me to step in, maybe as a surrogate best friend, a surrogate dad, a surrogate uncle, whatever you want me to be. Black Keys, you go to blackkeystogreatness.com. That's blackkeystogreatness.com. The first month is absolutely free, so you can try it out to see if you like it. And then after that, there is a small fee. I don't remember how much it is, but in addition to that, there is a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you don't like it, you're not satisfied, you can always get your money back. So I created this because it's my effort to help share some of the things that I picked up and figured out in my 44 years on this planet. So I hope that it helps you too. All right, guys. Well, I got to get on out of here. I got a meeting. I'm actually going to meet the guy who played Dwayne's brother in A Different World. We met. His name is Daryl Bell. I met him last week, and we had such a great conversation. We said let's do it again. And I think Tempest Bledsoe, his significant other, she'll be there. So I look forward to talking to them and learning from them. And I'll tell you how that went later on. Of course, I can't. I don't want to tell all their business or whatever. But I'll make sure it's okay with them, because I figured stuff like this is cool. It's fun to talk to you guys about. So anyway, take care. Don't forget blackkeystogreatness.com. Talk to you guys soon. Peace.